Our story begins with Tian Feng, a peerless genius of the QILIN clan, who witnesses his kin being slaughtered by the Dragon and Phoenix clans during the chaotic Great Calamity. Instead of stepping forward to defend them, he turns away toward the remote borders of the prehistoric wilderness. You see, having traveled to this world from another, he is currently just a young fire QILIN. To rush onto that battlefield with his current cultivation would be nothing short of a death sentence. Fortunately, as a fire QILIN, he was born with control over life flames. With enough time to grow in seclusion, he is certain to one day dominate a corner of this world. After wandering for several years, his body has matured into that of an adult QILIN, and he has finally reached the edge of an abyss within the 100,000 mountains. This place is a perfect hiding spot. Deep beneath the abyss, he senses a wisp of earth fire perfectly suited for his cultivation. But just then, a mechanical voice echoes in his ear. Congratulations to the host. The God-level choice system has been successfully bound. Yes, a system, because even a QILIN needs a little help sometimes. A mission is issued. The primordial QILIN is currently in a life-and-death struggle against the ancestral dragon and Yuan Feng, and has been severely wounded. The system asks if he will go to the rescue. Choice 1. Accept the mission and obtain the supreme technique of the QILIN clan, the 9 Revolutions QILIN art. Choice 2. Refuse the mission and obtain the inheritance of the innate gods and demons, the God-fiend body refining art. Without a moment's hesitation, he chooses to refuse. He knows all too well that the QILIN art cannot compare to the God-fiend body refining art. Besides, the QILIN clan's protector is on the verge of death. Going there now would be nothing more than a suicide mission. Once the choice is finalized, the mnemonics of the body refining art immediately flood his mind. In a single breath, the technique begins to circulate on its own, leaving him feeling quite exhilarated. He then steps into the massive abyss before him, where a vast area below is covered in flowing magma. But as he approaches the volcanic zone, a dangerous aura surges from beneath the lava. The system detects that this territory has already been occupied by other living beings. It asks if he will slay them. Choice 1. Accept the mission to execute the lava giant clan and seize the abyss. If successful, the abyss will be transformed into his exclusive sanctuary, which, quite conveniently, can shield him from the prying eyes of saints and great masters. It can even withstand the full-force attack of a quasi-saint. Choice 2. Refuse the mission and obtain a postnatal spiritual treasure, the heavenly demon armor. The inhabitants here are the lava giants, born from the earth fire and magma itself. To be honest, they are formidable warriors of the deep. They have spent countless years absorbing the essence of the sun and moon within the lava, making them the true masters of this subterranean realm. These giants have only recently gained sentience. While they possess some bite, their cultivation is not particularly high, with the strongest among them only reaching the 8th level of the Heaven Immortal Realm. The rest are mostly in the early stages of the Heaven Immortal Realm, or even the Earth Immortal Realm. Now, Tian Feng has only just broken through to the 5th level of the Heaven Immortal Realm himself. However, as a fire QILIN, his racial advantages mean he can crush opponents even with a lower cultivation level. Besides, he has already mastered the true fire of the sun. This flame can melt anything in existence. Even if the lava giants have spent years in the magma building a resistance to earth fire, it is quite a different story when facing the true fire of the sun. Compared to his flames, the earth fire is nothing more than a flickering candle. Being a man of decisive action, he opens with his strongest killing move, unleashing a torrent of fire upon the lava giants. Under the searing heat of the true fire, the giants don't even have time to react before they are reduced to drifting ash. With the pests cleared away, we see him officially take possession of this place. The system rewards are issued immediately, and a mysterious power envelopes the abyss. Remarkably, it does so without causing a single ripple of spiritual disturbance that might alert the outside world. Over the next 10 days, the prehistoric world remains in a state of violent upheaval. The great war between the QILIN, Dragon, and Phoenix clans shows no signs of ending, and countless lives are lost. The earth is stained red in a scene of unprecedented tragedy. This continues until the day the primordial QILIN falls, the ancestral dragon is beheaded, and Yuan Feng meets her end. With the 3 clans losing their strongest leaders, the prehistoric world finally begins to quiet down. But Tian Feng, who knows exactly how history unfolds, is well aware that now is not the time to emerge. There are still many world-shaking events yet to come. With the primordial QILIN dead and the clan in a desperate state, the system presents a new choice. Will he gather the survivors and lead them to glory? The mission asks if he wishes to dominate the prehistoric wilderness. Choice 1. Accept the mission and obtain a postnatal spiritual treasure, the 5 emotions and 7 fires fan. Choice 2. Refuse the mission and obtain one of the 5 innate spiritual flags, the off-ground flame light flag. Looking at this new prompt, he simply shakes his head with a faint smile. It seems the system's rewards align perfectly with his own cautious nature. He chooses to refuse the mission, and the off-ground flame light flag instantly appears in his hand. This is an innate spiritual treasure of immense power. Not only can it repel evil and block all harmful magic, but it can also throw the yin and yang into chaos and reverse the five elements. He realizes that if he can collect all five of the innate flags and pair them with a high enough cultivation, he will finally have the power to protect himself even outside his hidden sanctuary. Without delay, he places the off-ground flame light flag within the abyss. After all, one can never have too many layers of protection when the world outside is so chaotic. During this time, his cultivation progresses at a staggering speed. Although the spiritual energy here is thin, the earth fire compensates for it, and the true fire of the sun constantly refines his form. With the God-fiend body refining art circulating on its own, his cultivation has already reached the 9th level of the heaven immortal realm. He is now just a single step away from the true immortal realm. However, reaching the true immortal realm is no small feat, and he knows that the final breakthrough will require more than just time and fire. In the vastness of the prehistoric world, he remains an insignificant existence, as immortals are everywhere. Meanwhile, atop the western demonic mountain, Luo Ho, the leader of the demon clan who has plotted for years, watches the Dragonhan calamity end with a sinister smile. It was he, after all, who secretly incited the war between the three clans, causing blood to boil and lives to be ruined. He intends to use this slaughter to break through his own cultivation boundaries. The fall of the three clan leaders was also due to his hidden hand, as Luo Ho seeks to collect billions of blood essences. To achieve his path, to prevent any interference, he sets up the 4 immortal slaying swords and holds his god-killing spear. Just then, at the foot of the mountain, an elderly man with a sage-like aura appears. The demon clan has killed far too many, defying the heavens. And today, justice has arrived. This newcomer is none other than Taoist Hongjun. Even with Luo Ho's deep calculations, facing a master who has realized the heavenly Tao like Hongjun, he is destined for defeat. As the battle between Hongjun and Luo Ho rages, we see a new prompt appear. Should he leave the abyss to help? Choice 1. Assist Hongjun and earn his favor. Choice 2. Assist Luo Ho and obtain the innate spiritual treasure, the 12-grade Black Lotus of Destruction. Choice 3. Refuse the mission and obtain several heaven and earth spiritual roots, 20 fire spirit fruit trees, 15 peach trees, and 5 ginseng fruit trees. Deep in his secluded meditation, Tianfeng is momentarily startled by this new development. He knows the weight of this battle between Hongjun and the demons. It is the decisive moment of the era. Though the rewards are incredibly tempting, he realizes that with his current cultivation, joining such a fight would be suicide. He immediately chooses the third option. The rewards are issued instantly. Within the abyss, 20 fire spirit fruit trees, 15 peach trees, and 5 ginseng fruit trees appear, each one heavy with ripe, shimmering fruit. Any lingering hesitation he felt vanishes, replaced by a wide, satisfied smile. These are exactly the resources he needs. He gathers all the fruits at once and returns to his cultivation. Thanks to these spiritual roots, the once thin spiritual energy of the abyss suddenly becomes incredibly dense. He senses that in time, this place will become a sacred cultivation ground second to none. With these roots in hand, his resources will constantly regenerate as time flows quietly. And after refining these vast resources, his cultivation finally reaches the 5th level of the true immortal realm. And then, a new mission arrives. At that very moment, Tianfeng snaps his eyes open as a new prompt appears. The demon ancestor Luo Ho is on the verge of defeat. Should he leave the abyss to help? Choice 1. Accept the mission to assist Luo Ho, earning his favor and becoming the final disciple of the demonic path. He would inherit part of the demon ancestor's legacy. Choice 2. Refuse the mission and obtain the primeval QILIN divine ability, the longevity heaven-suppressing strike. Looking at the rewards, Tianfeng chooses the second option without hesitation, immediately mastering the primeval QILIN's legendary technique. In his memory, any QILIN powerhouse who mastered this ability could suppress and kill the phoenixes of the 9 heavens or the dragons of the 4 seas. It is a truly formidable clan-suppressing power, and he never imagined he would possess it himself. As he masters the technique, far away on the western demonic mountain, Luo Ho's 8 great generals have all fallen in battle. Luo Ho himself is gravely wounded and beyond help. Before his fall, he chooses to self-destruct and flee. At his level, even Hongjun finds it difficult to stop him. In an instant, countless spiritual veins in the west are destroyed and thousands of living beings perish. Because of this, Hongjun now owes a karmic debt to this land. He and Luo Ho represented creation and slaughter, one righteous, one evil, locked in a life and death struggle where only one could prevail to attain the great Tao. With Luo Ho's defeat, the Dragonhan calamity finally draws to a close. The once dominant QILIN, Phoenix, and Dragon clans begin their long descent into decline. The countless beings who suffered during this catastrophe hold a deep and bitter resentment toward the 3 clans. This is why their descendants will become increasingly rare. Having incited such heavenly wrath, their survival is now precarious. Meanwhile, deep within the abyss of the 100,000 mountains, Tianfeng's bloodline suddenly stirs after years of seclusion. This is a unique QILIN sensing method, signaling that another fire QILIN is nearby and sending out a desperate distress signal. A fellow fire QILIN is being hunted. Does he choose to save them? Choice 1. Accept the mission and obtain the innate spiritual treasure, the central Wuji apricot yellow flag, one of the 5 directional flags. Choice 2. Refuse and obtain the acquired spiritual treasure, the soul-losing claw. This sudden distress signal and the new mission fill Tianfeng with unexpected joy. After choosing to accept the mission, he gains another of the 5 flags and immediately places the Wuji apricot yellow flag within his abyss sanctuary. At this moment, he rests atop a massive stone amidst the subterranean lava. His divine sense spreads outward, discovering 3 blood-soaked figures 3,000 miles away. We see a fire QILIN fleeing for its life, pursued relentlessly by a large pack of wolf demons. Now that the QILIN clan has fallen, many of its members are being hunted by various factions, either to have their essence blood refined for cultivation or to be forged into magical treasures. These wolf demons, who wouldn't have even qualified as subordinates when the QILIN clan was at its peak, now dare to hunt them. The world has truly changed, as Tianfeng notes with a sigh. Using a secret bloodline technique, he transmits his voice directly into the minds of the 3 fleeing QILINs, telling them to head west toward the abyss for protection. Although he accepted the mission, he has no intention of leaving his sanctuary. He simply needs the 3 fire QILINs to reach the vicinity of the abyss on their own. Once they are close enough, he is confident he can protect them. Upon hearing the bloodline transmission, the 3 fire QILINs are visibly stunned. They never expected to encounter a kinsman in a place as remote as the 100,000 mountains. After a quick glance at each other, they immediately accelerate, racing toward the abyss where Tianfeng resides. Behind them, many of the wolf demons have already reached the true immortal realm. They have set their sights on these 3 fire QILINs, who are only at the heaven immortal realm. If they can kill them and seize their essence, they will surely please their tribal leader. After a desperate chase, the 3 fire QILINs finally step into the abyss. This is Tianfeng's domain, already fortified by 2 of the 5 directional flags. Without his explicit permission, any low-level intruder who dares to approach would be instantly crushed by the sheer spiritual pressure of the sanctuary. Just as the wolf demons are about to charge into the abyss, Tianfeng lets out a cold shout from within, unleashing the myriad beast heaven-suppressing roar. Under the weight of this single roar, the remaining wolf demons outside are instantly reduced to dust, vanishing into the wind. The 3 fire QILINs, overwhelmed by the display of power, immediately kneel within the abyss. Though they haven't seen his face, they are terrified and awestruck by his methods. They bow respectfully, calling out to their ancestor and thanking him for saving their lives. That roar was a divine ability only the strongest of their clan could master, a legendary technique passed down from the primeval QILIN. Nowadays, they believe almost no one left in their clan is capable of such a feat. Tianfeng, playing the part of an ancient hermit, tells them he is no ancestor, just someone who grew tired of the slaughter and sought a quiet place to cultivate. He asks them about the current state of the QILIN clan with a feigned air of seniority. The young QILINs lament that their lineage is nearly extinct, having suffered heavy casualties over the years while being preyed upon by the rising demon tribes. They beg this ancestor to step forth and save their people. Tianfeng acknowledges their plight, but warns that the great tides of fate cannot be easily reversed. For now, he tells them to rest here and avoid the dangers outside. Tianfeng tells them that by staying here, they can help preserve the pure bloodline of the Fire QILIN clan. He explains that regarding the fate of the QILINs, he is already well aware of their decline. The fall of a saint-level clan is simply the cycle of the heavenly Tao, and in the future, pure-blooded QILINs will almost vanish entirely. We see him reflect on legends where the Mo QILIN became a mere mount for Grandmaster 1, and the golden-eyed beast served the bull demon king. Those were merely mixed-blood descendants of the water QILIN branch. Even the golden-haired Ho, mount of the Bodhisattva Guanyin, though slightly more pure, was still reduced to the humble status of a servant. The Phoenix clan is nearly extinct, and while the dragons fare slightly better, their strongest members perished in the Great Calamity. In later ages, they are relegated to guarding the 4 seas and managing the rain. A single mistake leads to the dragon execution platform. The fate of the 3 great clans is tragic indeed. Knowing the direction of this grand trend, Tianfeng naturally refuses to interfere recklessly. To him, simply preserving a few pure QILIN bloodlines is already a significant act of merit. He tells them he must return to his secluded cultivation now. He warns them not to disturb him unless it is urgent. Within this abyss, they may roam freely anywhere except for the restricted area of the earth-fire lava. He mentions that he has planted many spiritual roots. Once they ripen, the QILINs may take some for their own training. After these instructions, he enters seclusion. Years flow by in the outside world, who knows how many, until suddenly, the entire Great Desolation begins to vibrate violently as auspicious signs descend. A powerful pressure sweeps across the land, startling countless creatures. We see purple mist rising to fill the sky, drifting through every corner of the world. The spiritual energy surges wildly. Many primitive creatures, once devoid of wisdom or trapped in cold, lifeless forms, suddenly feel a spark of consciousness. At this moment, their minds are opened, and they instinctively understand the basic methods of breathing and cultivation. It seems Hongjun has finally attained sainthood. Having realized the great Tao, he intends to preach. In 3,000 years, those destined may travel beyond the 33 heavens to the Zixiao Palace to listen. This announcement echoes through the Great Desolation for 10 full years. Within the abyss, Tianfeng slowly lifts his head to gaze at the sky. Hongjun has become a saint, and because of his ascension, countless beings have gained sentience. A massive amount of merit is now flowing toward the east. This is the reward from the heavenly Tao for one who has contributed greatly to the world. Such a phenomenon is truly breathtaking to behold. A choice appears. Should he leave the abyss to head for the Zixiao Palace? Option 1 offers a peerless, immortal treasure for accepting the mission. Option 2 is to refuse, which grants 3 million points of merit. Watching the heavenly rewards pour toward Hongjun's domain, he feels a flicker of desire. He felt a touch of envy, but as soon as the new mission appeared, he chose the 3 million points of merit. With these, he could quickly increase his cultivation in a short time without damaging his foundation. The moment he received the merit, the massive amount originally flowing toward Hongjun suddenly decreased by half. This caused the great ancestor Hongjun to frown slightly. He tried to calculate the cause, but found absolutely nothing. Even as a saint, he was left in a state of complete confusion. Meanwhile, having obtained his reward, Tianfeng immediately began refining his cultivation, breaking through to the 4th level of Mystic Immortal. After refining another 500,000 points of merit, he reached the 9th level. He then refined 1 million more, stepping into the 3rd level of Tai Mystic Immortal. With 1 million points of merit remaining, he didn't hesitate to continue. By the time the 3 million points were exhausted, his cultivation had reached the 6th level of Tai Mystic Immortal, only a single step away from the Golden Immortal Realm. Once the refining was complete, 3,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. Hongjun was now preaching at the Zixiao Palace beyond the 33 heavens. A choice appeared. Should he leave the abyss to attend? Option 1. Accept the mission to obtain the Hotian spiritual treasure, the Golden Bell. Option 2. Refuse the mission to receive a single drop of Xiantian divine deer golden blood. Looking at these two options, though he wasn't sure of the blood's exact use, it seemed far more valuable than a common Hotian treasure. After a brief thought, he chose the latter and immediately began refining the divine deer's blood. This single drop contained power far beyond his imagination. During the refining process, his cultivation soared, and he quickly stepped into the golden immortal realm. Not only that, but he clearly sensed his own bloodline and innate potential undergoing a transformation. In the Great Desolation, every living being possesses a specific origin. The strongest are the 3,000 god fiends, born within the chaos with unparalleled innate roots. To be honest, their power is simply on another level. The demon ancestor Luo Ho and the great ancestor Hongjun both belong to this rank. Next are the Xiantian life forms, the first generation of beings to evolve within the Great Desolation after Pangu created the world. The top-tier Xiantian beings were formed from Panga's own essence. For instance, the Sanqing were formed from Pangu's 3 souls, while the 12 ancestral witches were born from his essence blood. The original QILIN, Phoenix, and Dragon ancestors all belong to this first generation of Xiantian beings. Born within the world Pangu created, they enjoyed immense natural fortune. The original QILIN, for example, was conceived in the heart of the central earth, gaining immeasurable creation. The dragon ancestor was born in the deep sea formed from Panga's spine, and the first Phoenix was much the same. After them came the Hotian life forms. Although the later QILINs, Phoenixes, and dragons are considered Hotian beings, they still possess great power. We see that after the creation of the world, the Xiantian ancestors began to multiply within the Great Desolation, born with unparalleled natural fortune. In those early days, the 3 great clans dominated the land, eventually leading to the Dragonhan calamity, while all others were merely ordinary beings. After refining the Xiantian divine deer's blood, Tianfeng's own innate potential ascended to the level of a Xiantian life form, leaving him absolutely ecstatic. In his memory, those of Xiantian origin could easily reach the quasi-saint realm with unmatched combat power. To be honest, it's a massive advantage. To reach the peak of cultivation in the Great Desolation, one must possess such deep-rooted potential. Otherwise, a lifetime of hard work might lead nowhere. As his cultivation rose, his aura became increasingly profound. The three fire QILINs practicing in the abyss were suddenly startled by this overwhelming pressure. Each of them showed a look of deep awe. Even back when they were with the strongest members of their own clan, they had never felt this. This was a suppression coming from the very depths of their bloodline, making it impossible to resist. Slowly, Tianfeng began to pull back his leaking aura. Feeling the transformation of his bloodline, he was filled with joy. He had been so focused on his breakthrough that he hadn't noticed the three little ones. He didn't pay them much mind, however, and returned to his secluded meditation. Another 3,000 years passed in what felt like a single breath. By now, his cultivation had reached the 9th level of the Golden Immortal Realm. Not long after Hongjun's first sermon ended, the second one began. A new system mission appeared. Hongjun was preaching again at the Zixiao Palace. Should he finally leave the abyss to attend the heavenly path? Option 1. Accept the mission to become a named disciple of the great ancestor Hongjun. Option 2. Refuse the mission to receive a single drop of Penga's essence blood. Looking at the reward, he was so shocked he couldn't help but swear. He never imagined he could obtain Penga's own blood. Refining such a treasure would grant a massive boost to both his cultivation and his innate potential. Once he had the blood, he began refining it immediately. After the process was complete, his potential had ascended to that of a top-tier Xiantian life form, and his cultivation officially broke through to the next level. He had reached the 3rd level of the Daluo Golden Immortal Realm. Having received such rich rewards twice now, he was full of anticipation for the 3rd sermon. He hoped for more treasures to strengthen his bloodline. Even if ordinary spiritual items no longer helped him much, they were still quite useful. He could always give them to the 3 fire QILINs. However, when the 3rd sermon began, the reward was not related to his bloodline at all. Instead, it was the Xianyuan water control flag, one of the 5 Xiantian flags. After placing it in the abyss, the once dry and harsh environment changed. The scorching abyss was suddenly filled with flowing spiritual springs, creating a perfect environment for the growth of spiritual roots within this deep land. Nourished by dozens of spiritual roots over the years, the place was completely transformed, with exotic flowers and rare herbs blooming around the fruit trees. The 3 fire QILINs carved out caves in the rock walls to practice, long benefiting from spiritual treasures like the flat peaches and ginseng fruits. Their cultivation progressed by leaps and bounds, reaching the profound immortal realm. Tianfeng even extracted the essence of the subterranean earth fire. He gifted 3 clusters of this flame to them to refine and strengthen their power, as the earth fire essence was no longer of much use to him. It was a small gesture, but one that would surely help them grow. Suddenly, a divine light shot into the sky from Mount Buzhou, signaling the birth of a spiritual treasure. Should he finally leave the abyss to find it? Option 1. Accept the mission to obtain the Xiantian treasure, the 99 Scattering Soul Gourd. Option 2. Refuse the mission to receive a divine ability. The reward for refusing was the Chaos Divine Fire Palm. This sudden treasure-hunting mission caught his attention as Hongjun's final sermon was ending. He suspected the treasure appearing on Mount Buzhou was the legendary 7-colored gourd vine. To be honest, its reputation preceded it. A single vine produced 7 Xiantian treasures, each with a supreme destiny. This vine was a spiritual root of the world, much like the ancestor Hongyun. It seemed the gourds were finally ripe for those destined to find them. The 99 Scattering Soul Gourd was indeed one of those 7 fruits. In the original timeline, this gourd was claimed by Hongyun, the greatest nice guy of the desolation, who left quietly after obtaining it. Unfortunately, he was ambushed by Kuanping and met a tragic end. He was far too trusting of others, which, naturally, led to his early demise. As a Xiantian being born from the first red cloud, his cultivation was formidable. Had he survived, he surely would have lived a life of absolute freedom. Even his best friend, Zenyuanzi, later known as the ancestor of Earth Immortals, had a cultivation level that didn't yet match Hongyun's at this time. Tianfeng knew that soon the demon race would rise, with Dongwang Tai and Emperor Jun calling upon all demons to build the heavenly court. This would lead to a struggle for hegemony against the Wu clan, triggering the great shaman demon calamity. It was a disaster that would spare no one. Even the survivors of the Dragon Han calamity, the QILINs, phoenixes, and dragons, would be drawn back into the world, only to meet their final end. They would lose all hope of a comeback. It was a grim fate that Tianfeng had no desire to witness, especially for the remnants of the QILIN clan. While the fate of those ancient clans seemed set in stone, he knew the upcoming shaman demon calamity still offered a slim chance for escape. If he could gather the surviving QILINs and bring them to the safety of the abyss, more of his kin might actually endure the coming storm. The QILIN lineage was extraordinary, and having them as allies would certainly make his future endeavors much easier. So he summoned the 3 fire QILINs. He told them that a new era was ending, and as a fellow QILIN, he couldn't bear to see their kin suffer through another hopeless disaster. To keep them from being swept into the conflict, he decided to teach them a divine ability called the Chaos Divine Fire Palm. Whichever of them mastered it first would be sent to the Central Plains to find any surviving QILINs and lead them back to the abyss. He made it clear that no one should be forced. Those who came would find protection, while those who stayed would face their own fate alone. The one who completed this mission would be officially accepted as his disciple, a rare opportunity that left the three fire Qilins ecstatic. They bowed deeply, promising to follow his decree, and a few centuries later, the most gifted among them finally mastered the chaos divine fire palm. This little fellow finally came to pay his respects and see Tianfeng's true form for the first time. It was quite a sight, to be honest. Having refined the Pangu essence blood and practiced the Xiantian divine demon art, Tianfeng radiated an indescribable aura of absolute majesty. His massive body was covered in spiritual scales that glowed with a blinding golden light, a truly intimidating display of power and presence. He realized that once he broke through to the quasi-saint realm, he would finally stand as an equal to the original Qilin ancestor. He ordered the young Qilin to head to the central plains immediately, warning him to keep a low profile while the demon emperors were rising. As long as he avoided the Wu clan, the danger would be manageable, and if he returned alive, he would become Tianfeng's first true disciple. He gave these final instructions with great care, knowing that while the journey was dangerous, it was the only way to save their race. Once the great calamity truly began, the Qilins would vanish from the desolation forever, losing any hope of ever rising again. If this messenger failed, Tianfeng would accept it as the will of heaven. He had done his part and would no longer fear the weight of karma. After the fire Qilin departed, he closed his eyes to resume his secluded cultivation, while outside, the world of the desolation was changing rapidly. We see that the Wu clan had already risen to power, with the 12 ancestral shamans establishing tribes and beginning their struggle against the demons. We see that the members of the Wu clan were born with incredibly powerful bodies, capable of manipulating wind, water, and lightning with enough strength to move mountains. Ordinary demons were simply no match for them, and as the Wu clan became unstoppable, the 12 ancestors established tribes to seize the very essence of the desolation. A choice soon appeared. Should he leave the abyss to stop them? Choosing to intervene would grant him a strand of the primordial violet qi. However, refusing the task would grant him the Tying True Fire, one of the 10 original flames. Having just entered seclusion, Tianfeng sensed this new system mission. He checked it immediately, and for a moment, the sight of the primordial violet qi made his heart race. In the world of the desolation, such a treasure is incredibly rare. After all, the only 6 beings to ever possess this qi had all successfully achieved the path to becoming true saints. It was the very foundation of the great Tao and the greatest chance for divinity, but to obtain it, he would have to leave the abyss and confront the 12 Wu ancestors. These 12 were born from Panga's own blood. Each possessed the power of a quasi-saint, and together, they could manifest the terrifying 12 heavenly gods array. This was known as the most lethal formation in the desolation, possessing infinite power that no one could block. Not even a saint would face it without concern. Because they were the direct descendants of Pangu, even the great ancestor Hanjun couldn't easily change their fate, so he secretly signaled for Dijuan to take action. He encouraged Dijuan and Dongwang Tai to join forces and establish the ancient heavenly court, aiming to unify the desolation and bring order to all living things. A decree was issued. The demons would rule the heavens while the Wu ruled the earth. This briefly calmed the strife, though the 12 ancestors hardly respected Hongjuan's wishes. Their continued struggle with the demons left the great desolation scarred, with countless territories destroyed and thousands of spiritual veins shattered beyond repair. Despite the massive temptation of the reward, Tianfeng had to restrain himself. This calamity was far more brutal than the first, threatening to engulf the entire world. He ultimately chose to refuse the mission, receiving the Tying True Fire instead. Years ago, he had obtained the solar fire, and now he held its lunar counterpart. With yin and yang now in balance, he refined the original flame, and his cultivation immediately surged, breaking through to the 5th level of the great Luo Golden Immortal Realm. His combat power soared as well. The fire within him was no longer just fierce and aggressive. It had gained a certain spiritual fluidity that felt much more refined. In the outside world, the rise of the Wu clan forced the demons of the desolation to unite like never before, despite the countless casualties from years of fighting. Finally, Dongwang Tai and Dijuan emerged. Together, they subdued the demon tribes, founded the ancient heavenly court, and appointed the great demon Kuanping as their teacher. Dongwang Tai and Dijuan were brothers of the demon race, and we see them standing together as they prepare to shape the future of the desolation. Having cultivated on the solar star for countless ages, Tai had long ago reached the quasi-saint realm, wielding the innate treasure known as the Chaos Bell. Beside him, Dijuan controlled the Hichu Luo Shu. Together, they led the demon race with almost no opposition, and Dijuan began to style himself as the emperor. He was the demon emperor, and Dongwang Tai stood by him as the eastern emperor. The emperor, Dijuan and Tai were originally born from the essence of the sun. They were the ultimate beasts of the demon race. Unbeknownst to them, everything was moving under the secret manipulation of ancestor Hanjun, who gained far more from the heavenly court's creation than they did. As Tai and Dijuan fought for the great desolation's destiny, a new choice appeared. Should Tianfeng leave the abyss to pledge his loyalty to them? The first option was to join the Heavenly Court as one of the 10 great demon marshals, while the second option was to stay put. By refusing the task, he could obtain the Green Lotus Flag, one of the 5 legendary innate 5-element flags. Naturally, the system mission appeared immediately. Without a second thought, he chose to refuse and claim the Green Lotus Flag. Now his Abyss Dojo was protected by 4 of the 5 sacred banners. He was only one piece away from completing the set, which would allow him to suppress or kill any intruder unless a true saint personally intervened. Each of these flags was a top-tier innate treasure. Together, their power was equivalent to a supreme artifact of the highest order. Once the Green Lotus Flag was placed, the exotic flowers and rare herbs within the abyss began to grow with even greater vitality. It was quite a sight. The flag contained the laws of wood, capable of nurturing the very essence of nature. After finishing his work, he sensed several figures appearing near the abyss. We see his divine sense sweep across the area, finding a white ape locked in a fierce battle with several members of the Wu clan. The ape held a heavy iron staff. This ape was exceptionally fierce, and that staff was no ordinary tool. It was a Hodeon treasure capable of shattering mountains with every single swing. The white ape's own cultivation was impressive, having reached the profound immortal realm. Seeing this, a quiet system mission surfaced once again. The gibbon of distant peaks, a creature of great destiny, was being hunted by the Wu. The choice was simple. Would he leave the abyss to help? The first choice was to leave the abyss and rescue the ape to obtain the Hodeon treasure, the Dragon Phoenix banner. The second was to refuse the task. By choosing the latter, he would receive spiritual roots, 25 peach trees, 5 pine trees, 5 fire fruit trees, and 3 banana trees. As the system notification chimed, he realized this white ape was the gibbon of distant peaks, one of the 4 legendary great spirit monkeys. Alongside the stone monkey, the 6-eared macaque, and the red-bottomed horse monkey, each of these beings possessed immense divine powers. This gibbon was the first to appear in the Great Desolation, later sweeping through the world during the investiture of gods, though he chose the wrong side. Ultimately, he was slain by Liu Ye's flying dagger and relegated to a minor star. Watching the battle outside, our protagonist made his move. He chose to refuse the mission and claimed the spiritual roots instead. While the abyss already held many treasures, these new additions were special. He now possessed 25 immortal peach trees, 10 5-needle pines, 5 divine fire fruit trees, and 3 innate banana trees. The spiritual roots he had gathered were impressive, but these new ones were far more precious. The peach trees alone were exceptionally rare. Even in the future peach garden managed by the Queen Mother of the Heavenly Court, only a few such trees would ever exist. The needles of the pines and the leaves of the banana trees could be forged into treasures, while the fire fruits directly boosted one's cultivation. These were treasures rarely seen in the outside world. Once claimed, they took root within the abyss, finding the perfect spots to grow. After settling the matter of the spiritual roots, he turned his gaze back to the outside world and quietly activated a divine ability. He pulled the ape, Yuan Hong, directly into the abyss, while the Wu clan members pursuing him were suddenly engulfed in divine flames. They were reduced to ash in an instant. By hiding within the Abyss Dojo, he could mask all karma, leaving no trail for the Wu clan to follow. Yuan Hong was utterly shocked to find himself suddenly transported. Such heaven-defying power was beyond his wildest imagination. He knew immediately that a great master had intervened. He had been fleeing for his life through the mountains, facing certain death. Had this senior not acted, his life would have ended there. The small demon Yuan Hong pays respects to the senior and thanks him for his mercy. Yuan Hong put away his iron staff and knelt, realizing the master of this place possessed unfathomable depth. Why not simply stay and guard the gate? To be honest, clinging to the legs of such a powerful senior was far better than wandering. "Senior," he called out, "I am willing to serve." As his words echoed, the crushing pressure of the abyss rules suddenly vanished, and he found he could finally walk freely among the 2 fire QILINs. The creatures emerged from the depths carrying the Heaven-Earth Needle. Our protagonist, currently in seclusion, preferred to let these little ones handle the introductions. He wanted them to bond with Yuan Hong while revealing his identity as the QILIN ancestor. After all, the QILIN name still commands respect even after 10,000 years. There is no shame in seeking refuge with an ancient clan, and so, decades passed in a flash until a new system notification chimed in his mind. The Fire QILIN was returning from the Central Lands with survivors, but they were being hunted by the Wu clan's Zhurong tribe. The choice was clear, to save them or not. Option 1. Rescue the clansmen and receive the plain cloud border flag, one of the 5 legendary innate 5-element flags. Option 2 was to do nothing. It seemed the Wu clan truly dared to strike at the QILIN lineage. He extended his divine sense across 10,000 miles to lock onto the target, 73 QILINs. Aside from the leader, only 72 remained. To think that during their peak, the clan numbered in the millions, seeing them so diminished was truly a tragic sight. Without a moment's hesitation, he accepted the mission, knowing this was his chance to finally claim the last of the 5-element flags for his collection. With the full set guarding the Abyss Dojo, even the 12 ancestral witches wouldn't be able to take a single step inside, not that they had the time to try. Their attention was currently fixed on the demon clan's heavenly court, so with a simple thought, he manifested a massive flaming palm 10,000 miles away. With a flash of golden light, the pursuing Wu clan warriors were instantly frozen in place. Surprisingly, there were quite a few great magi among them. Unfortunately for them, they were no match for a single strike. The lead fire QILIN, trembling with visible emotion, immediately signaled the others to retreat. He led his kin into the mountains while our protagonist casually wiped away their tracks, teleporting the entire group directly into the safety of the abyss. Among the 72 survivors, the fire QILIN lineage accounted for over 40, accompanied by 5 water, 7 gold, and several other elemental types. With 6 wood and 3 earth QILINs, the 5 pure elemental lineages were finally reunited, along with a few rare wind and lightning variants. Though their numbers were small, the variety was complete. Given time to thrive and multiply, the QILIN clan would surely rise to greatness once again. Ancestor, I have fulfilled my mission and brought back those willing to live in seclusion. The fire QILIN choked out, prostrating himself on the ground. Our protagonist slowly rose and stepped out from the depths of the abyss, his immense presence washing over the field and silencing the gathered crowd. The strongest among them was only at the Taiching realm, which explains why the Wu clan targeted them. His gaze swept over them, finally resting on the leader. We hear his voice echo like a great bell through the abyss, reminding the fire QILIN that he promised to make him the leader if he returned with their kin. He addresses the entire QILIN clan, declaring this little fellow his first disciple and granting them permission to build their homes within the safety of the abyss. As long as they remain inside, he guarantees their eternal safety. Then, he turns to lead the young fire QILIN deeper into his private sanctum. Behind them, the survivors are in an absolute frenzy, especially the elders who lived through the ancient wars and now tremble at the sight of his back. They can feel that his bloodline pressure is even more formidable than the original QILIN ancestor, which is, to be honest, a terrifying thought. Meanwhile, outside the abyss in the vast mountains, several great magi from the Zhurong tribe arrive at the site of the battle to find only ruins. The lead magus turns pale at the lingering heat of the fire magic and immediately summons an ancestral witch. A single hair is burned, signaling for help. Suddenly, Zhurong himself, one of the 12 legendary ancestral witches, manifests out of thin air, his expression darkening as he senses the power left behind. He realizes the intensity of these flames rivals his own. He closes his eyes to peer into the river of time, but finds the past shrouded in chaos. Determining that the QILIN destiny hasn't fully faded, Zhurong orders a temporary retreat, though he steps deeper into the mountains with a cold snort. He wants to see exactly who dared to touch his people. While deep in the abyss, our protagonist senses Zhurong's presence and simply smiles coldly. He is only a step away from the quasi-saint realm and has the 5 element flags guarding his home. Really, what could the witch possibly do to him? Besides, the great catastrophe is coming, and Zhurong will soon be too busy fighting Gonggong to worry about a hidden abyss. Staying low is the better path. The system chimes again, noting Zhurong's investigation and offering a choice. Leave the abyss to fight him, or remain in seclusion. Option 1 offers the demon sealing sword, while Option 2 provides a divine technique known as the Chaos Heaven Burning Finger. He chooses the second option without a second thought, and instantly, the complex laws of the technique flood into his mind like a rushing tide. Within moments, he masters the technique completely. While outside, Zhurong spends several fruitless days searching the mountains before leaving in frustration. And so, tens of thousands of years pass in peaceful harmony within the abyss as the QILIN clan begins to flourish and multiply once more. Their numbers surpass 1,000, and our protagonist finally reaches the peak of the great Luo Golden Immortal Realm, standing at the threshold of greatness. But in the world outside, the land has been turned upside down. The demons rule the sky, and the witches rule the earth, with war ready to ignite. On the very day of Emperor Jun's grand wedding, the 12 ancestral witches launch a sudden assault on the heavens, with Zhurong's divine fire instantly engulfing the southern heavenly gate. As flames light up the sky, the witches mockingly announce their arrival for the wedding. Meanwhile, Donghuang Tai, consumed by rage, charges toward the gate with the chaos bell in hand. He strikes at Zhurong with the force of a primordial treasure, but the witches merely sneer, treating the emperor's desperate defense as nothing more than a festive opening act. With a collective roar, the 12 witches begin to form their formation, the 12 pillars of heaven fiend design, as endless malevolent energy begins to coalesce into a single point. We see a massive, world-spanning phantom of Pangu emerge, causing the great gods of the prehistoric world to turn pale. This, it seems, is the witch's ultimate trump card. The sheer pressure from Pangu's phantom sweeps through the heavens, sending Donghuang Tai flying as the celestial palaces tremble and the starry sky formation is hastily summoned. Emperor Jun's eyes nearly burst with fury as he commands the stars to shine, pouring the power of billions of celestial bodies down to meet the threat of the witches. The two top-tier formations of the prehistoric world collide with a deafening roar, sending shockwaves so powerful that even deep within the abyss, our protagonist is shaken from his meditation. The system's urgent chime rings out, announcing that the first decisive battle between the witches and demons has begun, and asks if he will leave the abyss to stop the war. Option 1 is to intervene for the reward of the 12-grade White Lotus, while Option 2 is to simply watch the chaos unfold from the safety of his home. He chooses the second option without a thought. After all, getting close to a clash between two such terrifying formations is a recipe for disaster, to say the least. As the techniques of the Chaos 9-turn mystery art flood his mind, he immediately settles his spirit to cultivate, using his quasi-saint power to begin the arduous process. Even with his immense strength, he barely manages to reach the 5th turn. Meanwhile, outside, the ancestor Hongjun secretly uses the Good Fortune Jade to protect the world's foundations. Unaware of the hidden observer, the witches drive their formation forward, and the Pangu Phantom swings a giant axe of pure energy directly at the demon's starry defense. Dongwang Tai fights desperately, the Chaos Bell radiating blinding light as it barely withstands the blow, leaving both sides utterly exhausted and their magical reserves drained. With both sides severely wounded, the prehistoric world trembles, and in the chaos, a white tiger flees toward the mountains, desperate to find a place of refuge. This is the son of the Western sacred beast, the white tiger. His home was destroyed by the shockwaves of the battle, leaving him shivering in fear just outside the abyss. The system asks if he will seek justice for the homeless cub. Option 1 is to fight for him to earn a golden spirit pearl, a tempting prize for some, perhaps. Option 2 is to remain a bystander and receive the 5-element pine. He decisively chooses the second, and a vibrant, 5-colored tree takes root in the abyss. As the spiritual energy of the pine fills the air, he glances out at the white tiger cub, noting that despite its youth, it already possesses the cultivation of a great Luo golden immortal. Not bad at all. He realized he was exactly in need of a capable subordinate. With a wave of his hand, a powerful pressure enveloped the white tiger, who barely had time to think of resisting. Our protagonist smoothly shifted the beast into the depths of the abyss. The white tiger crashed to the ground, eyes wide with terror, as he was calmly asked if he was willing to submit. The white tiger hesitated, still dazed, so he simply condensed a massive palm of energy to let the pressure do the talking. "Senior, I am willing. Please, I beg you, stay your hand." Terrified out of his wits, the white tiger knelt and pleaded for mercy. "Very well," he replied. "From this day forward, you shall be the sacred guardian beast of this abyss." Satisfied, he nodded and stationed the beast under the plain cloud border flag. With 5 sacred beasts matching 5 elemental flags, this formation might one day rival the legendary sword array. The white tiger's eyes nearly popped out when he saw the flag. After all, it was a supreme treasure for cultivating the Tao of Gold. To be honest, it was a prize beyond his wildest dreams. Yet, the realization that he was now essentially a glorified doorman left him feeling quite frustrated. He told himself to stay calm and wait for an opportunity to make other plans later. Having settled the tiger, he returned to pushing toward the quasi-saint realm. Meanwhile, back at the heavens, the fires of war were being reignited with even greater ferocity. The ancestral witch of time, Zhu Jiuyin, had recovered 30% of his power and was now leading a furious charge against Emperor Jun, demanding a final reckoning for the demon race. The goddess Nuwa intended to intervene, but a divine transmission from Hongjun stopped her. The Great Tribulation was not to be hindered, and she was warned not to stain herself with its karma. At last, the 3 pure ones of the Kunlun Mountains made their move. The Taiji diagram and the Panga banner appeared as symbols of their authority, witnessed by all the immortals present. The Western sages also manifested with their treasures, advising the witches to retreat for the sake of the world's balance. Emperor Jun's face turned ashen, realizing the tide had truly turned against him. The witches agreed to withdraw, but only for a price: 1,000,000 pieces of gold, 1,000 star gold ores, and several innate spiritual roots, all to be delivered within 10 years. Emperor Jun gritted his teeth and agreed, and only then did the witches retreat. However, the hatred between the two races was only growing deeper, festering like an open wound. Just then, the system's chime rang out again. It noted the gods were blocking the witches' retreat and asked if he would travel to the heavens to join the fray. Option 1 was to fight the gods for a reward of high-tier scriptures, while Option 2 was to remain in seclusion for the prize of a supreme treasure, the god-slaying spear. He chose the second option without a moment's hesitation. Why go out and get tangled in the karmic mess of a great tribulation? After the last disaster, he knew better than most. Back then, he was the only peak Great Luo immortal left, and going out now would just make him a target. Suddenly, a streak of light landed in his hand. It was half of the spear. The tip was missing, leaving only the shaft. It looked more like a divine walking stick than a weapon. He shook his head helplessly at the sight of it. It was a tragedy that a treasure born from the Chaos Lotus had ended up in such a broken state. Meanwhile, outside the abyss, the white tiger saw the war end and tried to sneak away. At last, he thought he could escape, but just as he was about to step out of the abyss, a gentle force blocked his path and knocked him unconscious. Our protagonist gripped his divine staff with a cold smile. That single strike used only as much power as the white tiger possessed, yet it knocked him out instantly. The power of this staff was truly terrifying. With a casual wave, he sent the white tiger back to his quarters beneath the plain cloud border flag. When the tiger finally woke up, he rubbed his head in a daze, wondering if he had actually made it out or why his head felt so heavy. Watching the beast's uncertain expression, he couldn't help but smirk. In this abyss, leaving was a luxury the tiger wouldn't enjoy in this lifetime. The white tiger shrunk back, not daring to let his mind wander, though deep down he was already plotting his next escape attempt. He chuckled at the tiger's small movements. The fellow was certainly restless, but at least life in the abyss wouldn't be boring with him around. Suddenly, a prompt appeared. As the son of the western sacred beast, the tiger was determined to flee. Would he allow the cub to leave the abyss? Option 1 was to let him go and receive a piece of western gun gold, while option 2 was to refuse for the sake of his dignity and gain the 5 elements Tao. Naturally, he chose the second option. As soon as the words left his mind, the profound mysteries of the 5 elements began to unfold within his consciousness. The sharpness of gold, the vitality of wood, the heat of fire, the softness of water, and the weight of earth, the laws were laid bare before him. His internal energy began to circulate automatically, cycle after cycle, while the 5 directional flags above his head began to float on their own. Nearby, the 5 elements pine flourished, its lush branches enveloping him like a protective cocoon as the aura of the Tao filled the air. In the distant Zixiao Palace, the great ancestor Hongjun suddenly snapped his eyes open, his gaze filled with shock and suspicion. The Tao of the 5 elements was the foundation of the world, yet it was notoriously difficult to master, especially all 5 paths at once. This aura was so powerful it rivaled a late-stage quasi-saint. Hongjun wondered if the long-fallen 5 elements Taoist had somehow returned. A flicker of killing intent rose in Hongjun's heart, fearing such a powerhouse would disrupt his plans, but the heavenly secrets remained completely clouded. Unable to calculate the location, he could only memorize the aura and wait for a future opportunity to investigate this mysterious presence. Across the realm, powerful beings like Laozi were also desperately trying to divine the source, but like Hongjun, they found absolutely nothing. Unaware of the stir he had caused, our protagonist remained immersed in his meditation until, with a low shout, he finally broke through. He suddenly snapped his eyes open as 5-colored light soared into the sky, and a terrifying pressure swept through the entire abyss. Our ancestor had finally broken through. The little QILINs in the abyss were pinned to the ground by the sheer force, yet their faces were filled with pure ecstasy as every living soul cheered, except for the white tiger. The tiger was filled with grief and indignation, realizing that if he was easily handled before, this breakthrough to quasi-saint meant he might never have a chance to escape again. He told himself that as the sacred beast of the West, he could never truly submit, so while he acted submissive on the outside, his heart remained full of rebellion. Our protagonist couldn't help but laugh heartily, feeling a surge of excitement. He had originally expected this breakthrough to take several more eons of meditation. To be honest, he hadn't expected the opportunity to come so quickly, but with the resonance of the 5 elements Tao, he had leaped across the bottleneck into the quasi-saint realm. In the current Great Desolation, golden immortals are everywhere, and only a great zenith golden immortal is considered elite, but a quasi-saint? That is a true power player. The creatures of the abyss offered their congratulations in unison, shouting for the ancestor's success, while he remained lost in a whirlwind of complicated thoughts. He felt a deep sense of irony. Ever since arriving in this world as a QILIN, he had never truly felt safe, especially since his kin were once the center of a deadly conflict. If it weren't for the protection of this abyss dojo, he would have had nowhere to hide after the first great war of the 3 primordial races ended. Even when the great ancestor Hongjun began his public lectures, he never dared to leave, partly due to lack of strength, and partly because his identity was far too sensitive. A QILIN at the great zenith level would attract far too much attention. Considering most powerhouses of the 3 races were supposed to be extinct, he was a walking target. And so, he had stayed hidden in the abyss from the first era all the way to the rise of the Lich clans. But now, as a quasi-saint, things were different. With the 5 elements Tao and the protection of the 5 directional flags, even the 3 pure ones would struggle to break his defense. Only Hongjun himself posed a threat. One little QILIN shouted a flattering boast, claiming that with the ancestors' breakthrough, their clan would surely return to the surface and dominate the 3 realms once more. Others quickly joined in, calling him the strongest being in the Great Desolation and insisting he lead them to conquer the world, which was a bit of an overstatement. These little ones had been born in the abyss and only knew of the QILIN clan's former glory through stories, having no idea how dangerous the outside world truly was. The older QILINs who had actually seen the world looked on in awkward silence, while the youngsters remained oblivious, their cries for a grand return echoing through the dark. They chanted about the destiny of the sacred QILIN, arguing that a race of their stature shouldn't be confined to a hole in the ground forever. Suddenly, a prompt appeared. The younger generation of the golden QILINs wished to return to the world. Would he lead his people out of the abyss? The system prompt continued. Leading the QILIN clan to dominate the Great Desolation would grant him the clan's destiny and luck. It was a tempting offer of leadership and power over the entire race. A path toward true authority. As the spiritual energy grew denser, the white tiger, pinned under the plain cloud flag, caught sight of this and muttered under his breath. He whispered that with such meager strength, dreaming of dominating the world was pure delusion, but a giant hand appeared out of nowhere and grabbed him. Our ancestor lifted the tiger by the neck, his voice cold as he noted that while the little QILIN's flattery lacked polish, it was still a sign of respect. He knew this tiger needed constant discipline, especially since he planned to gather the 5 sacred beasts to power a grand 5 elements formation. If the white tiger remained rebellious, he would become a fatal flaw in the array. "Master, I was wrong. I won't do it again," the tiger pleaded. He tossed the beast aside, sparing him once, before turning to the gathered QILINs to explain that their clan had suffered too much in the last calamity. Now was a time for recovery, not for showing their faces to the world. They needed to focus on cultivation and growing their numbers first. He told them they would reclaim their glory when the time was right, as leaving now would only make them targets for the Lich clans. The little QILINs shouted their obedience, and seeing their respectful faces, our ancestor nodded in satisfaction at their youthful spirit. He appreciated their courage. After all, if they were as weak-willed as the Dragon Clan in later legends, he would have nowhere to hide his face. To celebrate his breakthrough to Quasi-Saint, he sat upon a propitious cloud and prepared to preach the Tao to his followers for the first time. He began with the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, explaining the cycle of how each element overcomes the other. As the truths of the great Tao echoed through the abyss, 5 colored lights flickered above the heads of the QILINs and the white tiger. Suddenly, a series of roars erupted, including a loud cry from the white tiger, who shouted in excitement that he had finally reached the 5th level of Great Zenith. As the son of the Western sacred beast, he had once been a top-tier being, but after the destruction of the Western veins, he had been a wandering fugitive. His cultivation had been stalled for ages, yet listening to our protagonist's lecture allowed him to break through, though his cheering interrupted the flow. Without a hint of hesitation, our ancestor sent a palm strike flying, slamming the white tiger into the abyss wall and leaving him in a massive crater. The white tiger scrambled up, and far from being resentful, his face beamed with joy as he begged for forgiveness, promising never to interrupt again after his breakthrough. He had completely abandoned any thought of escaping. In this abyss, he could listen to the Tao and use the plain cloud flag for cultivation. Where else could he find such a place? Even if he were kicked out, he wouldn't want to leave now. Our ancestor, however, asked coldly if he actually expected a next time, noting that perhaps he had been too merciful. With a wave of his hand, he sealed the tiger's powers and tossed him to Yuan Hong to be punished with 100 lashes. To be honest, the tiger probably deserved it. The screams of the white tiger and the excited cheers of the QILINs echoed together in a lively symphony, but meanwhile, the heavenly court was drowning in a deathly silence. Inside the Lingxiao Palace, the powerhouses of the demon clan gathered with heavy expressions, while Di Jun sat on his throne, his face pale and his spirit drained. He asked weakly if anyone had a way to counter the witch's 12 capital gods array, as the demon clan had suffered a crushing defeat in the last great war. If not for the emergence of beings like Laozi, the demon clan would have been wiped out. Now, that array had become Di Jun's personal nightmare, haunting his every thought. Unable to eat or sleep, Di Jun turned to Fu Shi, asking if the Western Emperor had any clever strategy. Fu Shi pondered for a moment, acknowledging the array's immense power. He explained that while their own Starry Sky array was slightly inferior, it could still hold its own if they practiced diligently and forged the necessary star banners. What he didn't say was that the witch's array wasn't even at full strength yet. If it were completed, their own formation would stand absolutely no chance of victory. Since the clan's morale was already low, he kept that grim realization to himself. Di Jun agreed that with 365 star banners, they could break the array. But he cursed the witch barbarians who had forced them to hand over millions of pounds of star gold, leaving them currently unable to forge a single banner. Di Jun ground his teeth in frustration. His brother, Dongwang Tai, spoke up urgently, suggesting they immediately order the entire clan to begin mining for more star gold. Di Jun stopped Tai, telling him not to rush, and instead turned his gaze toward Kuan Peng, the demon master who had invented their written language and held great prestige. He asked for Kuan Peng's brilliant opinion, though his tone carried a hint of hostility. After all, Kuan Peng was building his own power in the north, and Di Jun felt he had to be wary. A shadow of annoyance flashed in Kuan Peng's eyes, but he maintained a respectful mask, telling the emperor he was overestimating him before offering a small suggestion. The demon master asked the assembly if they knew the current state of the relationship between the witch leaders Gonggong and Zhuro. A demon replied that they often had friction. Kuan Peng smiled, noting that this was their opportunity. If they could provoke a war between the water and fire tribes, the witch's great array would collapse from within. Di Jun hesitated at the suggestion. In the current atmosphere of the Great Desolation, using such a devious and underhanded scheme felt like a dangerous gamble. He found it difficult to accept, and below him, the demon clan was in an uproar, arguing that they had no time to refine the star gold. With time running out to forge the star banners, Kuin Peng spoke up loudly, causing Di Jun to steel his resolve and grit his teeth. He decided to hand this dangerous task over to the demon master, though deep down, his fear of Kuin Peng's growing influence only intensified. Kuin Peng's expression soured. He had hoped Di Jun would take the lead and ruin his own reputation, but instead, he had shot himself in the foot. We see a prompt appear. The ancient people of the Great Desolation were upright, yet the demon master planned a dark conspiracy against the witches. The choice is given. Expose the plot to earn the 9 Revolutions' mysterious art, or refuse the mission and follow the path of destiny. Our protagonist chooses the second option without hesitation, as the 9 Revolutions' art is useless to him compared to a drop of Chaos Demon Gold blood. His own version of the technique is far superior, but this drop of blood represents a massive opportunity for Yuan Hong, who is summoned immediately. Yuan Hong appears respectfully, asking for his master's orders, only to be told he is being rewarded for his loyal service guarding the abyss. As the Chaos Demon Gold blood is produced, Yuan Hong is instantly mesmerized, staring at the jewel-like essence with absolute intensity. Upon hearing it as a gift, he drops to his knees, swearing eternal loyalty to his master and calling for divine punishment should he ever betray him. He is told to go and refine the essence while keeping his mind steady. To be honest, this is a transformation most could only dream of. Originally a top-tier acquired being, refining this blood will allow his foundation to soar, potentially turning him into a primordial being of great power. Meanwhile, the first great war between the witches and demons has left the world in ruins, with mountains collapsed and rivers run dry. If the great powers hadn't intervened, the world might have been destroyed. Now, the witches have retreated and the demons have returned to the heavens. While the other experts return to their sanctuaries, Niwa alone wanders the broken land, remembering her master's words that her destiny was near. She sighs softly, wondering where such an opportunity could be found in a world so devastated by conflict and death. She travels for thousands of years, watching the earth slowly recover as birds, insects, and lush greenery begin to reappear across the plains. In a moment of sudden clarity, she brings forth the 9 heavens soil and the 3 brilliance sacred water, kneading them together into unique shapes. And so, we reach the moment of Niwa's creation of humanity, where a final choice is presented to the observer. A new mission appears: block Niwa from creating humanity to gain a postnatal treasure, or refuse and watch the birth of the human race. Choosing the second path grants the method of severing the 3 corpses. Our protagonist is shaken. As a soul from the future, he feels a deep bond with humanity. He feels a strong sense of belonging to the human race, and this method is the very path to sainthood taught by Hongjun himself. However, he harbors doubts about this specific path. After all, there are many ways to reach sainthood, like Panga's path of strength or Niwa's path of merit. The method passed down by Hongjun seems like a shortcut, but it might hide a trap, one that leaves a seeker with no path forward after reaching sainthood. He chooses to refuse the mission, and instantly, the profound secrets of the 3 corpses method flood his mind. It requires severing one's good, evil, and obsessive selves to achieve unity. He isn't in a hurry to practice it, though. With the system's help, better opportunities are bound to come. Just as he finishes grasping the technique, celestial music fills the great desolation and golden springs bubble from the earth as massive merit descends. Niwa's creation of humanity has earned her immeasurable merit, making her a saint. Now, the system asks if he will leave the abyss to congratulate her. Option 1. Congratulate Niwa to receive a postnatal spiritual treasure. Option 2. Refuse the mission and stay put. The reward for the second choice is the heaven-burning feather fan. Without a moment's hesitation, he chooses the fan, a legendary treasure of the ancient Phoenix clan. It was forged from the divine fires of the Phoenix and the Great Rock, a spiritual domain of flames refined into a single, devastating weapon. A single wave of this fan can incinerate the heavens and boil the seas. It's ironic, really, that a treasure from the fallen Phoenix clan ended up in his hands. He wonders if worldly prestige even matters when one can simply stay hidden and grow stronger. Being a fire QILIN, refining this fan is perfectly natural for him. Meanwhile, a powerful aura erupts from Yuan Hong's direction. She has successfully refined the Chaos Demon Gold blood, and her cultivation is soaring. She reaches the 6th level of the golden immortal realm, her very essence transforming into that of a primordial being. Seeing her breakthrough, he can't help but smile. Even as a nascent primordial being, Yuan Hong now possesses the potential to eventually challenge the rank of a quasi-saint. This is a level of talent that most in the Great Desolation could only hope to achieve. Alongside his top disciple, several other gifted members of the QILIN clan have also broken through to the golden immortal realm. In his spare time, he crafts postnatal treasures to reward them, even using leaves from the primordial banana tree in the abyss to forge powerful fans and swords. For the Wind QILIN and Earth Tigers of the 9 Netherworld, he even refines Earth Fire Beads, perfect weapons for the Fire QILIN clan. He maintains a peaceful heart, staying in the abyss to watch the winds of the great desolation change. He'll wait until his strength is absolute. Only then will he step out. Meanwhile, in a small Wu tribe settlement, disaster strikes as a monstrous flood surges through the valley. The tribe is swallowed instantly. The water carries the law of water, making it impossible for the low-level Wu members to escape. Similar tragedies unfold across the land. Every Wu tribe that worships fire is hit by these floods, suffering heavy casualties. When Zhu Rong hears of this, he is furious, as these are his own branches. The master of the waters is Gong Gong, his eternal rival. Fire and water truly do not mix, and the resentment between these two has been building for a very long time. Zhu Rong refuses to show any weakness, waving his hand to summon a wall of water 10,000 feet high. He charges out, riding a black dragon. Gong Gong shouts that Zhu Rong is twisting the truth, and if he wants war, he shall have it. The two clash at the foot of Mount Buzhou. It seems Zhu Rong is holding nothing back in this world-shaking confrontation. Startled by the thunderous roars, our protagonist takes out his new reward, the sky-viewing mirror, a powerful innate spiritual treasure. It allows him to silently observe any corner of the world, though it cannot spy on saints without being detected. The mirror's image shows that Zhu Rong and Gong Gong have lost all reason. Even their dragon mounts, both at the great golden immortal level, are slain in a single exchange. To see the once mighty dragon clan reduced to mere mounts is a tragic sight indeed. The battle between the two continues for years, a relentless struggle that shows no sign of ending. Zhu Rong is consumed by bloodlust. Gong Gong, realizing he is losing, declares that while he is no match, his life belongs to the Father God. With eyes glowing red, Gong Gong suddenly slams his head into Mount Buzhou. Zhu Rong freezes, a flicker of regret finally crossing his mind. Mount Buzhou is the transformed spine of Pangu, the pillar holding up the sky. If it falls, the consequences will be unimaginable. With a deafening crack, the mountain webbed with fractures, the world trembles as Gong Gong dies, and the cracks continue to spread. Finally, the mountain collapses, the heavens shake, the celestial river overflows, and 9 heaven fire pours down upon all living things. Countless lives are lost as the world plunges into darkness. Zhu Rong gazes at the collapsing Mount Buzhou, feeling a sudden, overwhelming sense of dread. His battle with Gong Gong has shattered the world, and even a true descendant of Pangu cannot escape the punishment of the heavenly Tao. Thunderclouds gather as lightning strikes. Zhu Rong, his essence already depleted, is powerless to resist and finally falls at the foot of the mountain. With the mountain fallen and the world in chaos, our protagonist is faced with a choice. Will he leave the abyss to save all living beings? Option 1. Accept and receive a divine root and the art of immortality. Option 2. Refuse and receive the innate spiritual treasure, the QILIN seal. This seal, a treasure of the primeval QILIN, vanished when that great being fell. He chooses to stay put, and the QILIN seal appears in his hand. Saving the world is Nuwa's destiny. After all, as his strength grows with the seal, he notices that Nuwa has indeed arrived at the ruins of the mountain. He quickly puts away the sky-viewing mirror. Once a saint's aura appears, the mirror becomes useless, and any further spying would surely be detected. Nuwa sighs softly as she looks upon the devastated great desolation. As a saint of merit, her fate is tied directly to the well-being of this world. If the world prospers, she is strong. If it breaks, she weakens. Mending the heavens is her responsibility, so she brings out the 5-colored divine stones. She begins the refinement process. These stones are primordial treasures, incredibly rare, and each worth more than an entire city. As Nuwa performs this act of infinite merit, the system asks if our protagonist will step out to assist her. Option 1 offers 30,000 merit points. Option 2, refuse and receive a jar of Sun Moon mysterious yellow liquid. He chooses to refuse. Why interfere with Nuwa's own karmic opportunity? The jar of liquid appears before him. This substance is formed from the essence of the sun and moon, distilled over countless ages. It is said that anyone below the level of a saint can use it to boost their cultivation. This is exactly what he needed. He is delighted, as his progress had stalled since reaching the quasi-saint realm. He begins refining the liquid, and his cultivation level finally shifts. He breaks through from the first to the second level of quasi-saint. Looking at the remaining liquid, he estimates he might even reach the 3rd level. Meanwhile, Nuwa finishes mending the sky. The floods are stopped and the fires extinguished, but the central pillar is still missing. The sky could collapse again at any moment. Just then, a giant black tortoise enters Nuwa's sight. With a wave of her hand, she brings it forth. She severs its 4 massive limbs, using them as new pillars to prop up the 4 corners of the heavens. A grim necessity, to be sure. The pillars are finally set, and the world begins to find its balance once more. With the heavenly pillars stabilized, the immediate threat of the sky falling has passed. Everything seems steady for now, a rare moment of peace in a fractured world. The foundation is firm, but the work of restoration is far from over. Baihu, being naturally restless, had been stuck in the abyss for far too long and was practically bursting with energy when he received his orders. Our protagonist points to the black tortoise in the sky viewing mirror, noting that since they share a similar nature, it would be better for Baihu to approach him. He hands over a chaos stone tablet, instructing Baihu to invite the tortoise to the abyss to rest as a reward for his service to the heavens. The tortoise may study the tablet for 3,000 years, and if he joins them, the treasure is his. Baihu takes the tablet, feeling its ancient power. Deeply shaken by the tablet's aura, Baihu vows to bring the tortoise back safely. Once he departs, we return to our protagonist. He continues refining the sun-moon liquid, reaching the 3rd level of quasi-saint before deciding to save the rest for his clansmen. He watches Baihu's retreating back through the mirror before shifting his gaze toward the netherworld blood sea, where the atmosphere is far more grim. Amidst the surging blood and killing intent, we see ancestor Mingi sitting in meditation. This sea, born from Panga's blood, is said to be eternal. It is a place where life and death are blurred, and as long as the sea remains, Mingi cannot truly die. But as a new race is about to be born, no merit descends from the sky. Instead, thunderclouds gather in a violent, dancing frenzy. Mingi is defying heaven to create the Azura race. The system asks if our protagonist will interfere, offering a treasure for either choice. Option 1 offers the Mingi Blood Pearl, while Option 2 provides the Netherworld Divine Fire. Naturally, he chooses the second option. He considers Mingi's plan a pipe dream. Unlike Nuwa's creation of humans, the Azura race is built on slaughter and defies the heavenly Tao. It would be strange if he weren't struck by lightning. To be honest, with the divine fire in hand, his understanding of flame laws deepens further. His strength surges again. While in the mirror, poor Mingi is struck so hard by the tribulation that his cultivation level plummets drastically. He loses interest in the spectacle. The Wu and Yao clans are broken, their era of dominance finally fading into the pages of history. Next comes the era of the Saints' emergence, and sure enough, it isn't long before the system's notification chimes once again. Laozi has established the human religion and achieved sainthood. Our protagonist is asked if he wishes to offer congratulations. Option 1 grants the Fire Dragon armor, while Option 2, refusing the task, offers the tip of the God-slaying spear. His eyes widen at the sight of the spearhead. Having already secured the shaft, he can finally complete the legendary weapon. This God-slaying spear, born from the stem of the Chaos Green Lotus, is the foremost of the great primordial treasures. Even as fragments, they were powerful, but a complete spear in hand is a weapon capable of wounding even a saint. He can't help but laugh aloud. With this, he fears no one beneath the level of a saint. Soon, Yuanshi Tianzuan follows suit. After refining treasures from the ruins of Mount Buzhou and taking disciples, Yuanshi establishes the Chan religion and attains sainthood. As Yuanshi ascends, the system offers another choice. Option 1 provides the Thunder Golden Hairpin for offering congratulations. Option 2, refusing again, grants 30 of each 5-element spirit root, including golden light leaves and wood spirit fruits. He even receives the primordial water willow tree, a rare treasure indeed. As spirit liquid pools form, the world shifts. The 3 pure ones, Ho-Tu, Jie-In, and Zhuanti, all ascend to sainthood. Wave after wave of system tasks arrive, and without even leaving his home, his strength soars to the peak of quasi-saint. One day, he senses a familiar presence approaching the abyss. His lips curl into a slight smile as he realizes Baihu has returned. The fellow had been gone so long, likely using his mission as an excuse to wander the world while eras rose and fell. He considers a punishment, but then notices a massive figure following behind Baihu, the legendary black tortoise, Xianwu. The 2 sacred beasts descend on auspicious clouds. Baihu prostrates himself, respectfully announcing his return to his master. Xianwu looks at the mysterious abyss with doubt. He only came to this desolate place because of that chaos stone tablet. As the tortoise hesitates, a powerful force draws them both into the depths. Our protagonist watches with a satisfied smile. He has now secured 2 of the 5 sacred beasts. With a sudden whirl of heaven and earth, Xianwu is pulled deep into the abyss. Xianwu is utterly shocked as he looks around. The spiritual energy here is dense beyond anything he could have imagined. Over the years, he has visited deep-sea springs, immortal mountains, and exquisite paradises, but compared to this abyss, they are worthless. Our protagonist sits upon the 5-element mat beneath the pine tree, his every breath radiating a faint, overwhelming pressure. Xianwu's heart trembles, realizing this QILIN ancestor is undoubtedly a quasi-saint, a rank held by only a few in this world. Recently, after Nuwa used his limbs to prop up the heavens, he gained great merit, which slightly improved his natural potential. Even so, reaching the quasi-saint realm would normally take eons, if not for the Chaos Stone tablet Baihu showed him. He only came to this desolate place for that chance at growth, especially since he couldn't seize the tablet from the equally powerful Baihu. The protagonist slowly opens his eyes, his gaze landing on Xianwu as he speaks with a calm, authoritative tone. He mentions that he noticed Xianwu's destiny during the mending of the heavens, though many with potential never truly become strong. Most are simply lost to the river of time, and not wanting a sacred beast to wander aimlessly, he offers him a choice. He asks if the tortoise is willing to stay in the abyss as a guardian beast, while the five-element divine lights flicker behind him. Within the abyss, his words seem to carry the weight of the world itself, and Baihu quickly chimes in to help. Baihu urges his friend not to hesitate and to pay respects to his master, noting that 2 more saints have just emerged. He reminds Xian Wu how the heavens took his limbs without asking. Without divine merit, he would have been ruined long ago. Here in the abyss, under their master's protection, no one would dare bully him, a point that hits Xian Wu quite hard. The memory of his lost limbs still brings resentment, but against the supreme power of a saint, he had been utterly helpless. He has spent years hiding from the wars of gods and demons, fearing he would be exploited again without a powerful backer. Xian Wu prostrates himself, admitting that the QILIN clan's survival into this era proves they carry the world's true favor. He agrees to become a guardian, asking only for the chance to meditate on the Chaos Stone tablet he was promised. With a generous wave of his hand, our protagonist grants the request, noting the tablet was a fated gift meant for Xian Wu's lineage. The stone tablet will remain by his side to aid his meditation. Originally, our protagonist planned a 3,000-year limit, but seeing the tortoise's respectful attitude, he decides the tablet is better served as a gift than gathering dust. Xian Wu is overjoyed, bowing repeatedly to thank the ancestor for such immense grace. From this day forward, he is the abyss's guardian. With a mere thought, our protagonist carves out a hidden grotto in a corner of the deep for him. Spiritual springs surge, and the Xianyuan water-controlling flag hangs high above, surrounded by countless water attributes, spiritual roots, and blooming flora. It is, quite frankly, the perfect sanctuary for Xian Wu's cultivation. Once he withdraws, the protagonist turns to Baihu and notes that bringing him back was a job well done. He acknowledges that this successful recruitment counts as a significant merit for the White Tiger. Baihu kneels in excitement, thanking his master for the recognition. But as Xian Wu settles in, the great desolation is shaken by new waves of destiny. Tantian, watching his 2 elder brothers reach sainthood one after another, has a sudden epiphany. Laozi founded the People's Cult for the fated few, while Yuanshi created the Chan cult, focusing only on those with great fortune. Tantian, however, chooses a path that is entirely different, a doctrine without discrimination for all living beings. Whether they have fur, horns, or scales, as long as they aren't truly evil, all are welcome. As he founds the Jie cult, a saint's aura sweeps across the world. Tantian has attained the Tao and become a saint. Now, the 3 purities boast 3 saints within a single lineage. A choice appears: accept a reward of elemental materials, or refuse the mission to obtain a wisp of the innate 5-element origin. He doesn't hesitate to choose the second. This innate origin is a primordial treasure born at the dawn of creation, and the moment he begins to refine it, his internal power surges violently. His cultivation breaks through from the 3rd to the 4th rank of quasi-saint. In that instant of breakthrough, he senses a strange aura emanating from within the abyss. His divine sense sweeps the area, finding a newborn QILIN cub opening its innocent eyes. It seems the breakthrough has stirred something new. This little fellow is as black as ink and looks quite peculiar, with a lion's tail and a face that is neither purely tiger nor purely lion. He is a mutation of the QILIN race, yet upon closer inspection, his bloodline is remarkably pure, perhaps even more so than his kin. This is the birth of the Daiding, a beast capable of hearing the voices of all things. Once matured, its ears can reach across thousands of miles. It can even hear the echoes of the past and the whispers of the future. The system asks if he will take the creature as a disciple and nurture it. Option 1 offers the Chaos 5-element escape technique as a reward, while Option 2 offers the Shurablade. Our protagonist considers his next move. Deep down, he is filled with wild joy. The Daiding, a sacred beast destined to guard the underworld and assist bodhisattvas, has actually been born within our QILIN clan. In an instant, he appears beside the young QILIN and tells the mother that this child is fated to be with him, and he will personally guide the cub's future. He accepts the cub as his disciple and bestows the name Daiding. The mother QILIN is both shocked and overjoyed, bowing repeatedly to thank the ancestor for this honor. To be honest, being chosen by the ancestor is a blessing of immense proportions. He carries Daiding away and summons his first disciple, the Fire QILIN. After years of diligent cultivation, the Fire QILIN has reached the peak of Golden Immortal, just one step away from the great Zenith stage. He introduces Daiding as his new junior disciple and instructs the Fire QILIN to teach him on his behalf whenever he enters a period of secluded meditation. Looking at the Fire QILIN, he notes that he has only taught him the Chaos Divine Fire Palm so far, so today he will grant him the God-Demon Body Refining Art. He also grants the QILIN clan's secret technique, the Longevity Heaven-Shaking Roar, sending 2 streaks of golden light directly into the Fire QILIN's brow. The cultivation methods flood the disciple's mind, and he is then gifted the off-the-ground Blazing Flame flag to help him master the laws of fire with half the effort. Finally, he distributes the remaining Sun Moon mysterious yellow liquid. The fire QILIN will use it to break through, while Diding uses it to solidify his foundation. Meanwhile, across the Great Desolation, the survivors of the witch and demon clans watch the three purities attain sainthood with heavy, sighing hearts. They fought to the death for the world's destiny, only to realize they were merely paving the way for others. Of the 12 ancestral witches, only Ho2 remains. Standing atop a mountain in the witch tribe's territory, she looks at her scarred homeland with tearful eyes, mourning the glory that has vanished. She wonders where the future of the witch race lies as she gazes at the scorched earth, which recovers slowly despite the nourishing aura of the three new saints. Even worse, countless wandering souls drift through the world with no home, causing the yin and yang of the Great Desolation to fall into a chilling imbalance. Old Ancestor Mingi takes advantage of this chaos, roaming about to collect these souls to strengthen his own Azura tribe. Though the Azura faced a heavenly tribulation at their creation, their combat power is formidable. With proper nurturing, they will become a powerful asset. As Ho2 watches the souls of her kin being carried away by Mingi, her heart grows restless, but in this moment of distress, she experiences a sudden epiphany. She asks herself if dead souls truly cannot find a new life, or if they are doomed to wander forever. This, she realizes, is a gap in the heavenly Tao. It is a flaw in the laws of the Great Desolation, and for Ho2, who stands at the peak of a quasi-saint, the chance to reach sainthood has finally arrived. We see that they followed the path of Panga's physical body, a righteous but incredibly difficult road that no one has ever successfully completed. And yet, Ho2 has stumbled upon a different path to sainthood. She looks to the heavens with a sense of historical helplessness, realizing the war has left the world in ruins. With souls wandering everywhere, she vows to transform herself into reincarnation and create the 6 paths, where all living beings will be categorized. These paths, heaven, human, Azura, animal, hungry ghost, and hell, will allow the dead to be reborn and cultivate anew in their next lives. As her voice fades, Ho2's body begins to dissolve, gradually evolving into the 6 paths of reincarnation to fill a massive void in the heavenly Tao. Every saint in the Great Desolation is shaken as the heavens bestow immeasurable merit, making Ho2 the second merit saint after Nuwa. Unfortunately, by becoming reincarnation itself, she can no longer manifest in her true form and must dwell within the cycle as a Tao body forever. Deep within the abyss, he senses the aura of Ho2's ascension and notes that things are proceeding exactly as expected while he waits for the system. The prompt arrives. Ho2 has attained sainthood through sacrifice. Should the host leave the abyss to assist in building the underworld? Option 1. Travel to the reincarnation site to establish the underworld and receive the judge's pen. Option 2. Refuse the mission. The reward for refusing is the 18 levels of hell, a treasure that could eventually upgrade into a primordial supreme treasure through long-term use. He is momentarily stunned to learn that the 18 levels of hell is actually a magical treasure. Naturally, he chooses option 2 without hesitation. He begins to calculate his next move, knowing that the 2 saints of the West will eventually try to pressure Ho2 for control over reincarnation. In the original timeline, she would have been forced to let them in, but in this life, he intends to ensure the outcome is entirely different. With Diding and the 18 levels of hell under his command, he has enough leverage to claim a significant stake in the world of reincarnation. When the time is right, he will send Diding to oversee the underworld, accumulating merit while managing the 18 levels of hell. It is a perfect plan to gather providence for the QILIN clan, so he instructs the fire QILIN to gather spiritual fruits to help Diding build his foundation. He then takes out the heaven-viewing mirror to continue observing the Great Desolation, watching the images shift from the eastern seas to the western lands. When the vision shifts to the central lands, the ancestral home of the QILIN, he cannot help but feel a wave of quiet melancholy. The place is a wasteland now. Aside from his own lineage in the abyss, the rest of the QILIN clan has nearly vanished from the world. The Great Desolation is simply too vast to track down every survivor, but just as we see him preparing to switch views, a faint trace of energy appears deep beneath the ancestral lands. This weak aura catches his attention, and using the heaven-viewing mirror to look closer, he discovers a Tungsha, a sacred beast of the serpent lineage. The Tungsha is the sacred beast of breath among the 5 elements, a guardian capable of enhancing all aspects of its own power. In ancient times, the Tungsha clan frequented the central lands, though they were overlooked back then due to the overwhelming dominance of the QILIN. He has long desired to gather the 5 sacred beasts to complement his 5 elements array, and now, he has finally found another piece of the puzzle. The system notes that this Tungsha carries the providence of the Great Desolation and asks if the host wishes to recruit it into the abyss. Option 1 is to recruit the Tungsha for the reward of 5 elements divine fruits. Option 2 is to refuse for a lower grade battle blade. He chooses the first option immediately, as the divine fruits contain the laws of the 5 elements Tao, which are essential for his next breakthrough. Once again, he summons the White Tiger, who proved himself quite reliable during the mission to recruit Xuanwu. He tells the little tiger that a Tungsha is hidden beneath the QILIN lands and promises a heavy reward if the mission is successful. The White Tiger's eyes light up at the mention of rewards, remembering how the last mission granted him the Chaos Heavenly Demon Fist and a massive power boost. He nods eagerly, fearing the host might change his mind, while being warned to return quickly and avoid any powerful experts in this volatile era. After the White Tiger departs, he takes out the 5 elements divine fruits and begins refining them, feeling the laws of the elements flood his body. Inside his body, his cultivation advanced once more, breaking straight through to the 5th level of the quasi-saint realm as his understanding of the 5 elements grew even deeper. Once he reaches the peak of the quasi-saint realm, he must prepare for the true path to sainthood, though he remains wary of the traditional methods. He suspects the 3 corpses method taught by Hong Jun might contain hidden traps, as that master strategist would never share a path that allows others to surpass him. Unless absolutely necessary, he refuses to practice that technique, preferring to prove his Tao through the mastery of the 5 elements laws instead. Just as he achieves this minor breakthrough, 3 pillars of light suddenly erupt from the depths of the 100,000 mountains. That region has been a desolate corner of the world for ages, home only to minor spirits, yet his divine sense quickly identifies the treasures within. There are 2 Hodian treasures, the Thunder Tribulation Pearl and the Spirit Earth Armor, along with 1 Xiantian spiritual treasure. The 9 Heavens Auspicious Cloud Brocade is a Hodian treasure he doesn't personally need, but a Xiantian spiritual treasure is a rare find, perfect for gifting to his disciples. We see him preparing to collect the treasures to strengthen the abyss, but the spirits within the 100,000 mountains have already descended into a chaotic brawl. Most of these spirits are weak, barely reaching the Xian immortal realm, yet among them is an unremarkable, short Taoist whose cultivation has surprisingly reached the golden immortal level. He has a magical rope tied to his waist, and whenever a spirit approaches to snatch the treasure, he binds them instantly, leaving them unable to move. The system identifies this man as Zhu Lusun, a figure carrying the providence of the Great Desolation, and asks if the host wishes to recruit him into the abyss. Option 1 is to recruit Zhu Lusun into the abyss for the reward of the Chaos Heaven-Splitting Palm. Option 2 is to refuse the mission for a Hodian spiritual treasure and spirit stones. He is amused to find it is Zhu Lusun, one of the future 12 golden immortals of the Chan sect and the master of Tu Xingsuan. This is a talent known for his loyalty. In the future great deity investiture, he would leave the Chan sect in disillusionment after his disciple's death, eventually being guided away by the 2 sages of the West. Choosing the first option, he sends a massive palm through the air toward the mountains with a single thought. The hand sweeps up the 3 treasures and firmly traps Zhu Lusun, bringing them all back to the abyss. Poor Zhu Lusun is absolutely terrified by the sudden abduction. He is a golden immortal, after all, and an expert in earth escape techniques who could normally hold his own against a Daluo golden immortal, yet just now, he had no power to resist at all. While he panics, thinking his captor must be at least a quasi-saint, our protagonist appears and sees through his true form at a glance. He is the essence of the earth, formed by absorbing the light of the sun and moon, which explains his mastery of earth arts. I am the ancestor of the QILIN, he declares. Today I see you carry great providence and share a destiny with me. Are you willing to become my named disciple? Zhu Lusun is completely stunned by the offer. To be honest, he never expected that being kidnapped would lead to becoming a disciple. After years of hiding in the Great Desolation, finding a quasi-saint master is a stroke of incredible luck. He immediately kneels and bows repeatedly, declaring his willingness to join and thanking the master for his divine guidance. He is told to find a cave and begin his cultivation, clutching the spirit bone and sacred armor. Zhu Lusun is too moved for words and retreats after many thanks. After taking in Zhu Lusun, he spends several hundred more years in quiet meditation within the abyss. One day, a familiar aura reaches him from outside. His divine sense sweeps out, and he is momentarily surprised. The White Tiger has returned, and behind him follows a Tungsha with the cultivation of a Daluo golden immortal. Even he is impressed by such efficiency. As the 2 enter the abyss, the Tungsha rushes forward and speaks respectfully, announcing their successful return. They had finally arrived, having endured countless hardships and traveled a vast distance to get here. The Tungsha explained that his clan had once followed the original QILIN ancestor, and it was only with that permission that they could thrive in the Central Lands. During the great calamity of the dragon and Han, the original QILIN ancestor fell, and the strongest of the Tungsha lineage emerged to fight. They had hoped to recover the ancestors' remains, but the Great Desolation was full of experts, and their warriors were slaughtered until they were forced into hiding. For eons, he had waited in the ancestral lands for the QILIN to reappear, and now, his heart stirred with the realization that the day had finally come. Our protagonist recalled that the Tungsha indeed roamed the central lands in ancient times. Without QILIN approval, they never could have survived there. It seemed the Tungsha were truly the most loyal followers of the QILIN clan. I see, he remarked. Your lineage has remained remarkably faithful. He nodded, his tone softening as he acknowledged their hard work over the years. Then, he produced the Wuji apricot yellow flag from the 5 directions. Handing it to the Tungsha, he explained that its earth element would aid his cultivation. The Tungsha took the flag, his eyes welling with tears of gratitude. After the Tungsha bowed repeatedly in thanks, our protagonist turned to the white tiger and brought out the 9 heavens auspicious cloud brocade. As a reward for his efficiency, he gifted the Xiantian's spiritual treasure to the tiger. The white tiger's eyes lit up as he frantically grabbed the precious silk. He was absolutely ecstatic. After wandering the Great Desolation for so long with barely any Hodian treasures, he had finally obtained a Xiantian's spiritual treasure. Watching this with envy, the Tungsha's mind began to race. Master, he spoke up quickly, I know you are searching for the 5 sacred beasts. He mentioned that some years ago, he had caught sight of the azure dragon within the central lands. He assured his master that if the white tiger joined him, they could find them, and if persuasion failed, they could simply tie them up and bring them back. The white tiger's face turned green with annoyance, as that kidnapping strategy was clearly his own invention. Our protagonist, however, was delighted. If he could gather the azure dragon and the vermilion bird, the 5 elements' great array would be complete. Very well, he agreed immediately. He promised the Tungsha a great fortune if he succeeded, then turned to the white tiger, telling him to assist, so he too could share in the rewards. Though the white tiger was annoyed by the Tungsha's posturing, he agreed the moment he heard there were benefits. To be honest, only a fool would refuse. The 2 beasts took their orders and rushed out of the abyss toward the depths of the Great Desolation. Meanwhile, in the western lands, we find ourselves atop Mount Sumeru, where Xuanti and Jane stand amidst the deep clouds, their 7 treasures tree and 6 pure bamboo stalks shimmering with power. The 12-grade golden lotus of merit radiates 10,000 rays of light. These 2 are the true schemers of the Great Desolation, ever since the days of ancestor Hongjun. Originally, there was no place for them among the seats of power, but through sheer persistence and a fair amount of performative weeping, they forced their way in. Having snatched 2 saint positions, and seeing that the 3 pure ones have already ascended, they realize they cannot afford to let this opportunity slip by. Xuanti and Jane rise into the air, swearing 48 grand vows to the heavenly Tao. It was a bold move, to say the least. They announced the creation of the Western cult and the Paradise world, promising that any who join will escape the cycle of reincarnation and the sea of suffering. They declare that those who enter their paradise will attain Buddhahood and transcend all pain. As their vows conclude, the aura of 2 new saints washes over the land. The very air of the Great Desolation seems to ripple with the weight of their ascension. Ancestor Hongjun slowly opens his eyes and looks toward the west, remembering his ancient battle with the demon ancestor Luoho that shattered those lands. That destruction had made it difficult for experts to emerge there, creating a karmic debt that Hongjun still carried. Now, 2 disciples are finally mending that wound. As the saintly aura nourishes the earth, Hongjun glances briefly before closing his eyes again. To him, becoming a saint is merely the first step. Beyond the Great Desolation lies the vast chaos world, making these local matters seem quite trivial. Meanwhile, the news of their ascension reaches our protagonist. A system notification triggers. Xuanti and Jane have founded the Western cult. The system asks if he will finally leave the abyss to confront them. Option 1. Challenge the 2 Western saints and join their cult to receive the 12-grade golden lotus of merit as a reward. Option 2. Refuse the mission and receive a Chaos Avatar Talisman, a one-time item that creates a clone with 100% of his power. This avatar can be used by anyone below the saint rank. Our protagonist stares at the reward, momentarily stunned by its sheer potential. This is a heaven-defying treasure. With this, he could finally explore the world safely, knowing his true body remains unharmed even if the avatar is destroyed. However, he doesn't use it immediately, suppressing his excitement to calculate the best path forward. He is currently at the 5th level of the quasi-saint realm. If he waits until he reaches the peak of the 9th level, the avatar will be significantly stronger. After hiding for so many years, he can certainly wait a bit longer. He decisively puts the talisman away and continues his cultivation. While outside, the Great Desolation remains fractured by the lingering effects of the Lich War. The Great Desolation has fractured into 4 major continents, with fragments scattered across the boundless seas, now known as the Overseas Lands. Among these scattered territories, the 13 Immortal Islands have become the most famous of all. In these lands, QILIN has spent years recruiting a massive army of the demon race, renaming the North Sea to the Northern Prefecture and establishing the Demon Master Palace. As the era of the demons fades, the time for the human race to flourish has finally arrived, signaling a great shift in the world's destiny. The system triggers again, asking if our protagonist will leave the abyss to lead the humans to power. Option 1 offers an unknown spiritual grass as a reward. Option 2 is to refuse the mission and receive 2 of the 10 great origin fires, the 9 heavens profound fire and the blue bright glazed fire. He chooses the second option without a second thought. After all, a single blade of grass is nothing compared to the true treasures of the world's origin. Having already refined the solar, lunar, and netherworld fires, he now possesses 5 of the 10 great origin fires, bringing him halfway to mastery. The moment he refines these 2 new flames, the law of fire within him surges, pushing his cultivation directly to the peak of the 6th level of the quasi-saint realm. He sits deep within the abyss, looking very much like the incarnation of fire itself, as the subterranean flames rise and fall in rhythm with his breathing. With his mastery over these divine flames, he could likely walk unchallenged through the quasi-saint realm. To be honest, few would dare stand in his way. As his insight into fire deepens, his understanding of the other 4 elements grows as well, making the foundation of his 5 elements great Tao incredibly stable. But just as he is immersing himself in the joy of this breakthrough, something stirs within the 33rd heaven.